Hello, hello. We are a little bit early. We still have 4 minutes before we officially begin. But I just wanted to get on here. Welcome to anyone who's here right now. We've got a lot of really great questions coming up on this week's Kinky Office Hours. But I just want to give a few minutes for people to come into the room because it doesn't start for another 4 minutes. If you're watching this on replay, feel free to fast forward during this time. Just 2 minutes left. We're just waiting a couple minutes before we begin the live stream. And I will figure out how to use an overlay so this looks more professional in the future. Awesome. So I'll just talk a little bit before we begin. I am currently traveling. I'm in Philadelphia right now. I'm staying at this wild Airbnb. It is like from the 18th century. That's why it looks like I'm living in Little House of the Prairie right now. It's one of these row homes that the kitchen is in the basement. So like literally it's like one, two, three, it's 4 stories, including the basement. And you go down the basement and it is a full dungeon situation. You know where I'm going here. Like a tiny little window and then this kitchen that is just like rugged. Yeah, I feel very sad that they decided to keep it as a kitchen and not make it into a dungeon, personally. It is a perfect dungeon. And what's so crazy is what I learned is that this house, which is really quite small, oh, sorry, I'm rocking back and forth, which is really quite small, is originally would have 3 families living in it. Like one on the top floor, the second floor, and the main level floor, which is mind-blowing to me. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Welcome. Welcome to Kinky Office Hours. This is my weekly live Q&A session on YouTube, where I will be answering questions from folks who have emailed me and messaged me and left comments, gathering them throughout the week, and then I'll answer them live here. Feel free, whoever will join us for this as you go along, to put your questions and comments in the chat so that I can answer them and we can have a little dialogue. One of the main reasons that I do this and that I'm passionate about this is because there's so much misinformation about kink, about sexuality, and the stigma on our bodies. Especially what I've found is for men, and especially for men who want to explore submission in their life, as well as cross dressers and the whole gamut. I mean, I really shouldn't just section it down just to men, because there's just so much misinformation and so much because of the stigma around kink, because of the stigma around sexuality and our bodies and our gender. I could go on forever. People are just looking for support, and not everyone has the opportunity to work with me one-on-one, so I wanted to open this up more to folks to get the support they need. So I am just gonna go dive right in. Whoever is with me right now, feel free to say hello in the chat. I'd love to have a little back and forth with you. And otherwise, I'm just gonna dive right in and start answering some questions that folks have emailed me or again somehow gotten to me one way or another. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this first question is from Brian from Georgia. Okay, my wife and I, he is male, he says, watched a sitcom and the topic of teenage boys' masturbation came up. Our son is 10 and I don't think he's hit puberty yet. My wife felt masturbation should be controlled. I feel it should be explored. I want to find common ground with my wife without shaming my son when the time comes. Any thoughts on these discussions? P.S. Thanks for. This is cute. P.S. Thanks for the image of strong spine, open heart. I stole that from John Wineland, by the way. That is not mine. That is John Wineland, and he will be. He will make sure that it's that he came up with it. I'm sure he stole it from somewhere else. Um, and then he says, PPS, looking forward to your podcast and community growing. Oh, thank you so much, Brian from Georgia. That means so much to me. Yes. Well, first of all, I am launching a podcast. It's coming out on this month, September 27th. It's called Soul Kink Therapy, a little plug. And it's basically where I have one-on-one deep dive sessions with folks from the internet. And the whole session is with one person, and it's kind of like what it would be like to work with me one-on-one. They're really intense, they're really deep, and we get shit done. Yep. So each session is one person. It's kind of mind-blowing. Highly recommend checking it out once it comes out. Okie dokie. So kids and masturbation. Yeah. So folks don't know this about me. Maybe you do, but my background is so let me just so basically the question is, how do I talk to my wife to create a unified front on how we talk to our son about masturbation? This is a really important topic. My background is in child sexual assault prevention. So I used to go around to Chicago public schools and I would teach hundreds, if not ultimately thousands, of kindergartners through high schools about child sexual assault prevention. Why this is so important to talk to your children about masturbation without shame, without judgment, but just factual and with acceptance and love. Why that is so important. I mean, there's just so many protective factors of what this does when parents have these conversations like openly and warmly, especially at a young age, like young 10 is probably we start having these conversations with children in kindergarten, and it's about what does it mean to be in a healthy relationship, and then building from there, since that's the crux of what we're talking about. And so but one of the things that's really interesting of why you should, this is just like a side note, one of the things really interesting, why you should tell your children the real names of their genitalia. So actually saying penis and vagina instead of like, oh, Mr. Wee Wee and like whatever, it is a prevention mechanisms for child sexual assault, because it lets a predator know that they the child is having real conversations with parents and that there's no secrecy. So there's not a culture of shame around them. So it's the same. That's a little tangent, but like for masturbation, the same thing of like really instilling in your child's nervous system that their genitalia is theirs, and it's for them to explore, and to what you're doing is creating a relationship with their body, like letting them know that your body is yours, and to understand how you feel good is an exploration that's very important, and it's understandable and welcome that you start young, and then giving them boundaries, obviously don't do it in public, and also like how to interact with other people, like don't show other people it until they're older and there's consent and all of that stuff. But having this conversation with your wife, I understand, could be really challenging if you both come from different backgrounds. One may be a background where there's a lot of stigma and shame around masturbation, and the other where there's not. So, the best thing I think that you can do, Brian from Georgia, is actually for you to read up on why it is so developmentally important to support young men masturbating in a safe and accepted and welcomed way from the parents, and learning, again, setting boundaries. There is countless research studies, countless books on this. Like you just Google it, chat GBT it will tell you everything. So the first thing is, so my first advice for you is really hearing your wife. Why is she scared? What is she scared about? Really be curious and take your judgments, put them aside, and start with curiosity. This is important for anyone talking to their partner about something they don't agree with. Number one thing you do is start with curiosity. Like and like fascination. Like, how did you come to this? That's so interesting. You work differently than me. What are your experiences? What are your fears? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? Number one thing you can do. And then like repeat back to her what you're hearing. I'm hearing that you're scared that our son is going to focus on his penis more than being attuned to people or learning how to be a part of the world. I'm hearing that you are afraid your son is going to be obsessed with porn. I'm hearing that, like, whatever, just literally repeat back to your partner what they are saying. Then take a deep breath, thank them for sharing so vulnerably with you. And again, you're going to have to temper your own reaction here. And then you can share, like, I've done a lot of research here. And what I'm finding is that, and then share the research. So, I did a little research. So, kids who masturbate regularly without shame have lower instances of standard sexually transmitted um, infections, later age of first sexual experience, and fewer sexual partners. So, making this topic safe and welcome, because they're going to do it whether you want them or not to do it. Making this safe and welcome, and that it's like a space where they can explore openly, it just has so many developmentally important uh, consequences down the road. So yeah, but the first thing is first is make sure that your wife feels heard. And make sure and see if you can try to get to the root cause of where her fear is coming from. So this is a really important point, actually. Um, there is an idea. So I talk a lot about tantric principles, masculine and feminine. Masculine is consciousness. We all have both masculine and feminine, okay? Masculine is consciousness. It is our ability to be master of time and space. So I have a masculine. My masculine helped me get on this call at a certain time and show up, and like this, my masculine is working now. And then our feminine is our felt sensation. It's our being, it's our moving, it's our expression, it's our creativity. Um, when you are talking, and this is for because a lot of my audiences are men. And hi Henry Pissinger. I'll get to you in a second. I thank you for writing. Ran across your profile on TikTok and really appreciate the work you do to help people explore and accept themselves. Thank you for your hard work and commitment. Oh, Henry. Wow, thanks. Really, that really means a lot to me. It's really important work. I take it very seriously. And it's also fucking hilarious and so fun. Um, but anyway, so masculine and feminine. Um, when men, because again, I think a lot of my audience is men, when you talk to your woman, and she's sharing her fear, please know that there's a really great line out of David Data, who's sort of the foundational westernized neo-tantra guy, relational neo-tantra guy. He says this quote, which my partner and I talk to about each other all the time, which is like, don't listen to your women. Don't listen to the words that your women are saying. That's deeply misogynistic and like that can be taken so problematically. But the idea is that when your woman is sharing fear, she might be saying a lot of things like when she's sharing anger, or when you can see there's an emotional charge coming at you, she might be saying a lot of things like that don't make any sense to your masculine. So like if she's charged about like, you never take out the garbage, you never help with chores, you never do these things, and your masculine is thinking like, I literally just took out the garbage 2 days ago. Like, and your masculine is trying to logic back to her. No, you have to speak directly to her feminine, which is the feeling. The feeling. So if she's like, you're never taking out the trash, go towards the feeling, which is like, you feel undervalued. You feel like you're not being helped enough. You feel something. Like, get to the root of the feeling and don't get activated by the words. So in this case, with the masturbation story, get to the root of the fear. What is she afraid of? And don't let your masculine get caught up by all of the words she's saying that could otherwise make you reactionary. Does that make sense? This is the biggest advice I can have for couples, especially if you're going into tricky territory around sexuality and intimacy, because we all have our baggage. But truly being like, staying with, like, being curious and staying with the core of what she is saying, rather than getting snared in the words she is saying. If that does that make sense? Because you can feel the heart of what she's saying. Stay there. Okay. Okay. So that is my response to Brian from Georgia. Definitely talk to your kids about masturbation. Fuck yes. And do it consciously, intentionally, and like, you could literally change their entire life. The way that you talk to children from an early age around their bodies and their sexuality is so important that it will change their entire life. It will change their entire life. Okay. Let's see. Let's have another question, shall we? This one is from a woman on TikTok. She said it's from Mercy Roya movie _clips. I was just asked this question by a man, and I didn't know what exactly to tell him. It got me confused that I came searching for answers when I saw your post. I still don't understand what makes a man want to submit to a woman. So here, and I'm sure I feel like probably the people who are on this chat right now are men who like to submit, since that seems to be my audience. So I'm going to speak to the choir. And so I would love actually to hear from you in the chat. Why do you think men want to submit to women? So put your answers in the chat. So this is for Mercy Roya movie _clips. The reason that, actually, I'm going to take this from another comment I got, and this is from Dreamer5211. He says, my take, I don't care if you are Joe the boxer or Joy the femboy. All natural males are submissive. All males had a mother at some point. All males must submit to birth, either naturally or cesarean. That submission is passed on to the males and taught by the mother to all females. You know, there's something really beautiful about that. And like, That's the thing, is we all came from a deeply submissive place. As children, we have zero boundaries. We have zero protections. We have zero defenses. It ultimately is, and for those of us who are lucky enough, we were able to find safety, right? As children, especially early on, our number one stage is safety. In finding embodiment, because we are just embodiment, we have no frontal, we don't have executive function much, so we're all just so embodied, but to find safety in that embodiment and being able to co regulate with another person. So children are supernovas of the feminine, right? They're just like feeling and chaos and like of just like so like deep in the embodiment. They don't have any masculine left, or they haven't developed their masculine. And so and that's developmentally, again, as time goes on, they develop more and more masculine. But what that does is it takes the two parents and it shoots both of them in the masculine. So the parent, no matter what gender the parent is, they embody the masculine, which is the container. It's the master of space and time. It's the I will do this and you will do that. It's the commanding. It's the penetration of like, this is, I'm the container, you are the liquid within the container. Um, and so we all have that experience from birth of being submissive to a higher power, whatever, which is our caretaker. And safety. And so the idea that men go along and then they and also understanding the pressure and the socialization that we put on men to be providers, to be rooted so deeply in their masculine, again, that's master of time and space, that then we don't support them in developing their feminine, which is their creativity, their self-expression, their way of moving, embodiment. These are all their feminine. We all need both of these, both masculine and feminine. We all need both. So when you see masculine entities, which a lot of men struggle with, who have a very underdeveloped feminine, what you get is like this core, this empty shell of a human. Because again, the masculine is the container and the feminine fills the container. In all of us, I have both masculine and feminine. You have both masculine and feminine. And so to ask men, which we do regularly, like, please become a shell of a human being. This is the only role that is acceptable with you, is to become a shell of a human being. Well, some men don't, like, a lot of men can't abide by that. And so they go along with these hyper masculine lives, but then have all of these fantasies about surrendering. The idea is we want an integrated masculine and feminine. Integration is the key. Um, let's see. Henry Kissinger said, I think there's a level of comfort and security that comes from submitting. There's trust in giving a partner control, especially living in a society where men are expected to never give up control. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Henry. Is we have created a society where men are never supposed to give up control, when really that is the essence of creating violence. That is how we create that is how we get to where we are in the society. Do you see women creating violence all the time? No, 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 you don't. You don't. It's just men. But that's because we have stripped our men of their femininity, of places to submit, of places to surrender. And so, actually, when men surrender and that we create, again, places for men to, maybe not all the time, what we're doing is rebalancing the harmony that we have lost in society. You know, in it's almost like um, there are, I don't know the validity of this, and I don't, but it's a story that we hear a lot in tantric communities, which is that after war, men would come and they would spend a night or two in these sacred dakini tents. And during that, like, the women would come and basically these were tantrikas and dakinis. They would come and be the container for the men who come back from war to like to soften into and to be held and to be and to surrender and to be like anointed. And basically what they're doing is they're rebalancing the feminine within these masculine bodies. um there are Yeah. And so that's the thing, is we don't see very many representations of men submitting in our culture, and it's a real fucking problem, because we just got a lot of empty men. Or what we do is we have a lot of men who just mask and hide because they're hiding their feminine. And when you hide your feminine, you're not truly whole, and you can't. Um, and what they do is they shrink themselves. They shrink themselves. That's a huge problem over and over again. What you see. So that is my answer to why do men submit. And it's a very like everyone submits for a different reason, but it's generally all the same. Men are exhausted from being in control of the time, and they need a space to find balance and harmony. If you want your man to be a provider, there has to be a space for him to release, if like every once in a while. And maybe that can, and that's the thing. This is a lot of women believe a lot of women believe that if their men surrenders to them, or and they take on the masculine role, and the men take on the submissive role. And again, please be aware that masculine and feminine do not correlate to men and women. I'm not talking about gender, I'm not talking about sexuality, I'm talking about energies. So one of my teachers calls these alpha for masculine and omega for feminine, Justin Patrick Pierce, London Angel Winters. So please do not get this confused, because that would be antithetical to the entire what I'm saying. But a lot of women fear that men, if the men surrender to them, they are never going, they're going to be stuck like that. And then the women who already are in control so much will never get an opportunity to surrender. And so it can be like this little competition or this little war. And that is why kink is so powerful as an intimacy tool. And what we can learn from kink is setting a scene. Set the container, friends. Set the container. First, before you set the container, you have to negotiate what is the container. Okay, the container, we were going to put on a timer for 1 hour. And in that hour, you are going to explore dominance, and I'm going to explore submission. And then have a negotiation. Well, what does dominance mean to you? What authentically feels exciting about being dominant? What authentically feels exciting about being submissive? You have to have these conversations. Set the scenes, my friend. And whether or not, like, and then again, also completely wipe away what either of you think a submissive person looks like or thinks a dominant person looks like. Wipe it away, because you're going to get stuck in those those archetypes without actually feeling what's real to you. Because the whole point is finding your authentic pleasure, not trying to not trying to be like whips and chains and high heels and lipstick, because that's what you think doms look like. No, don't do that to yourself. This is a process about finding your authentic kinky pleasure, because we are all kinky. We all have fantasies. Okay. So there we go. Hi, anyone new in the chat, please say hello, and put in your questions, or if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love this to be a back and forth. So let's go to another question. So if any of y'all have questions out there, I'd be happy to answer them. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's one. Here is a question from DDSZ2021. What will they benefit from playing dominant? And so this is a question. This is a long held stance of mine. And so maybe some of you have heard it before. Every single person, whether a man, woman, trans, non-binary, every single person who has an intimate partner. And it doesn't matter if you identify as dominant, if you identify as submissive, Every person would benefit from being a switch at least once or like as just in experimentation. Every person, there's no exception to this rule. I know that might freak some of you out a little bit, but the reason I say that is because if you are white knuckling this identity of your sexuality, how should I say this? Our identities are our costumes that we put on. And when we are white knuckling an identity, it's often because we are terrified of the opposite identity. We're terrified of it. But this is why kink is so amazing because it sets a playground for you to go into the things that you fear. And so, for example, if you are submissive and you have been a lifelong submissive and you feel like this is my personality, this is who I am, this is where I find pleasure, finding a partner that you feel safe enough to start exploring what it means to be a dominant, aka what it means to find pleasure in control, because that's what all being a dom means is that you find pleasure in being in control. Okay. There's so there's so much healing for you there. And to be able to do it and mess up and be crunchy. And don't get me wrong, these new experiments are terrifying. They're crunchy, they're weird. You're like you might feel really distant from your partner for a second before you come back together. But that's the thing is you are building up your nervous system to explore these realms which have always been terrifying to you. Um, so give it a try. Give it a try and explore the other side of the slash. You might find extreme power there. Let's see. This is a question from Mistrix NYX. What makes me submissive? She's asking for herself. What makes me submissive? Well, here's the thing about submission. Submission can look like anything, but the main thing is that you recognize that there's a force that is greater than you. Let me say that again. Submission is just recognizing and embodying that there is a force that is greater than you. So you want to feel small, you want to feel the submission comes in many different forms, many different feelings, but you want to feel like there's a force greater than you that you can surrender to. Now, why I think this is so profound is because we have all been, if you're American, you have been taught that you are a special little butterfly. Oh, you're just a special little butterfly, and that you are powerful and you are strong, and being in control and being independent and not like letting other people make your decisions is very important. Yeah, that's how I was raised too. But it's part of our American culture. Um, Fierce independence. The thing that's really interesting of that is that it doesn't give us, for many people, and you know, I did not grow up religious, so this is actually pretty interesting for me to explore. It has been very powerful for me to explore. For many people, feeling a true entity, or person that they feel safe to surrender with is few and far between. And that means like safe for that person to have complete like control over them is few and far between. Now, because it's so stigmatized. As you know, women, we want to be feminist, we want to be strong and powerful. Meanwhile, we don't trust men. We don't. We have to be like we have to be competing with men all the time. When do we get to surrender? Or maybe we're mothers or caretakers. When do we get? When do women get to surrender? So the idea of giving that control over to somebody else and being in that sort of infantile state, and that doesn't mean you're acting like a baby, but just like this release state of like I'll do whatever you like. I don't want to make decisions. I don't want to have to think what to do. I don't want to have to try to be anyone other than I am. I just get to be in the core crux of my authenticity. It's so powerful and so beautiful, and I think it's deeply healing for everyone. Now, some people explore submission or want submission because they want it as a feeling of escape or relief from their daily lives because they feel like they're failing all the time or because they feel alone all the time and they're so desperate for connection. These are really hi Brian S. Yes, I see your test. Um, these are really important. Well, these point to ways of which they're of instability and imbalance in a life, and so they use submission as like self-medicating. And so they might also like fetishize submission in a way of just like I could never be in a relationship unless the other person has complete control over me all the time. Sometimes this works out beautifully, and especially when people normally have really hard times, hard like daily lives, or do you know what I mean? There's just like deep imbalance and when they're alone, then this sort of clicked in puzzle piece of dominant, and these are folks often who practice lifestyle. You're welcome, Brian. Thank you. He's saying, thank you for doing this, ma'am. Um, that can be deeply healing. And also, what I like to say to these folks is let it be healing to a point where your nervous system gets to rest and feel nourished. When you're in this sort of lifestyle, like, I'm going to click in, I'm going to feel safe here. Let safety penetrate your nervous system, and then continue to work on yourself. Continue to heal. Because I know I have met, unfortunately, lots of folks who have found their part, which is hard to do, right? It's not easy to find somebody who can be in a lifestyle situation with you who actually works, but have found their counterpart, and then sort of stopped working on themselves. They're like, oh, this is a safe branch. Stop working on themselves and stop um, trying to get better. And maybe because that wasn't part of their relationship either. And then for some reason, the relationship ends. Or I've met multiple submissive who their dominant died, and then it's like a tailspin because that person was their sense of safety. For me, the point of kink and the point of this deep work is to support each other's finding each other's highest purpose and self. I am with my partner. We explore kink as a way to support each other's highest purpose and self. I am his biggest cheerleader and he is my biggest cheerleader. That is the foundation of our entire relationship. That even means I am his biggest cheerleader whether or not he chooses me. Because that's what it means for me. And so like in our relationship, we use kink, I use kink. We use kink as a way to come together to recognize what do we need right now in order to find wholeness, in order to find balance. So those are some explorations of what might make you submissive. It could be from a feeling of lack, and or it could be also. I mean, I don't like that. I'm gonna rewind, delete. I don't like saying like it could be from a feeling of lack. Um, but these are some different ways that submission can show up in bodies. And to be honest, my favorite thing this is controversial. Because I know some people who are like, you don't have to figure out why you're kinky. You don't have to figure out why you like want to be a daddy, or why you want to be a little girl, or why you want to be an elephant. Just play. And while I agree with that, I understand the benefit of that. For me and for my clients, and what I advocate for is like, why wouldn't you want a deeper embodied exploration of your psyche, of your soul, and understanding how in order to grow? Like, that's the thing is, for me, I get off on growth. I get off on growth. And so why would you not want to continue to grow in these ways? And the answer, again, I think some people would say, is because finding safety. Finding safety and learning how to play is step number 1. It's very hard to grow when you it's much harder to grow when you don't understand what safety feels like in your body. So oftentimes that's gotta be number 1. And so if you can do that without doing the deep hard work, I mean, to be honest, like oftentimes you have to do the deep hard work in order to get to the safety and the play. So it can be a chicken or the egg situation. All right, here we go. Mm-mm-mm. Let's do another question. Who has a question for me? Do, do, do. Well, let's see. Brian or Henry, do you guys have any questions or any thoughts that have been coming up in your lives right now? I'd love to hear from you. Um, hmm. What is something that I'm exploring right now? I'm sort of constantly exploring something. One of the things I'm really exploring right now is the concept of addiction, the concept of addiction in our lives and what it means for me. And I'm really taking a look at my relationship with alcohol. I have I'm started to read this book called Quit Like a Woman, but I'm starting to recognize these ways that the addictions in my life, and they could be anything from, you know, I have maximum of 2 drinks on the weekends, like each night, but there's these ways in which um, I feel like I'm being domed by the desire. I do not have control. I want 2 cocktails on a Saturday night, and I do not have control over that. And the ways that I'm recognizing that how this benefits or doesn't benefit from my life. So I'm also looking at like social media. I'm also looking at other substances in my life and what does it mean for me to use kink as a way to explore how substances and addictions dom me? And am I truly consenting to these substances doming me? I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Put your thoughts in the comments. How do you get kinky with substances? Have you done deeper work on exploring substances and addiction in your life, whether or not you identify as an alcoholic or your identity is an addict? Because we all are addicted to something, whether or not you identify as it. So I'd love to hear from you. And how can kink help you? And what have you explored? Brian S has a question, which is tools for self growth outside of kink. So Brian, are you asking tools for self growth? Like, are you asking for like besides kink? Like, what kind of self growth tools do I recommend that are not kink oriented? I'm gonna guess that's what you mean, Brian. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So, tools. Well, what's the area, Brian? What's the area that you want to explore? Because there's a lot of tools, and I have a lot of tools that I integrate into kink. Um, I will say, how about this? I'm a bit of a retreat addict. If you don't know that about me, I go to many r- retreats. Oh, okay, here we go. He says reconnection post kids. Ooh, this is a great post kids is such a fun and like it's such a awesome time because it is like, oh gosh, I don't remember the word, but a butterfly goes into a cocoon and then totally becomes mush, right? It completely decomposes basically and then rebuilds itself within the cocoon as a butterfly and then breaks free. So there is that stage where like everything is complete mush. This is what it's like post kids. A lot of my clients are post kids. My own partner has gone through post kids. He's older than I am. Um, what I love about it is like this is an opportunity for you to rebuild everything. because your entire lives are disoriented because everything is new, because you've spent so long in these certain roles and dynamics. And now these roles and dynamics get to be opened up, and it can be very confusing and it can be exhilarating. It can be everything. But that's why I think it is such a special time. Men and women in their 50s are my fucking favorite. They're generally in their 50s. You could be in your 40s, but um, so mazel tov for making it to this time and still being in a relationship. So my my favorite thing, my advice to you, reconnecting post kids, is to set. This is kind of cliche advice. Brian, set the fucking time. Set up the time. Okay, what is he saying? What I'm just gonna finish this point. Put a time on your calendar. I'm serious. I like to do it in the morning. I'm a morning person. Weekly. Now I'm guessing you're married to. I know that you're married to a woman. Um, you be the master of time and space. You hold the masculine in this way, because the masculine entity in all of us is master of time and space. You put it on the calendar. You say we're doing this. We are meeting on Thursdays from 5 to 7. And this is our time where it's like where we are just going to go in and be with each other, and in an intimate way. And what this means, it doesn't matter if you have sex or not. Okay? That sex is not the goal. The goal is like deep reconnection. One of the best things that you can do is just starting face to face in chairs, and then explore eye gazing. Have you ever? I don't know if you've ever explored eye gazing before, but it's basically eye gazing and breathing together. And you could set a timer for 3 minutes and just experience eye gazing and breathing together in unison. It's slowing down, okay? And just try it. This is the number one thing. But the idea is, can you start to expand your nervous systems where you are just present with each other? Just present with each other. That's the number one thing. It's like learning how to meditate, but with another person. No phones, no movies, no screens, no dinner, no clanking around, just your hearts together. It's so powerful. And then, I mean, there's so many more exercises after that, but that's my first tip for you. Okay. I'm struggling with this tech because I finally found the chat via YouTube app instead of YouTube on mobile browser. Okay. He hasn't tried eye gazing yet. Again, this is about if you want to reconnect with your wife, if you want to reconnect with your partner post kids, my number one advice is to start setting time up that is sacred, and maybe put on candles, put on incense, but it's just like sacred time. And you can start with just like it's just 30 minutes, like where you guys are just in it 30 minutes. And then, but the first 5 minutes is eye gazing and breathing. Then other things that you can do, and this is just again to start training your bodies to listen to each other and to attune. The next thing that I would do is put on, this is my favorite thing, put on, if you both feel safe enough, each of you put on blindfolds, put on a slow song, and just feel each other's bodies. I mean, like breath, touching the skin, like touching the arms. You don't even have to be dancing. It's really just like moving and touching for one song. In the beginning, do everything very short because you're training. And then eventually you can start, and then afterwards, then after you have these little exercises, debrief. What felt good, what didn't feel good, what worked, what didn't feel good. These are my suggestions for reconnecting with a partner post kids. Also, congratulations. It's just such an important time. I love this time. I will also acknowledge post kids in your 50s or late 40s or whenever can be one of the most challenging time for couples because they have spent the last 18 years on a project together. And most couples are not intentional about the project of their relationship, but very intentional about the project of raising children. And so when all of a sudden that project is gone, they don't know how to relate to each other anymore. That is why I am such a huge advocate for couples to be working and then start when your kids are young. You have to keep it doesn't you might have to white knuckle it and hold on to it like this is happening. We are going on a date or we are spending 30 minutes eye gazing or just like feeling each other's hearts. You have to guard the sanctity and sacredness of being present with each other in your relationship as you raise children. So that way when 18 years old they go off to college or whatever, move out of the house, you are not floating into abyss and oftentimes you float just away and you're like, "Oh, by the way, I don't really know how to connect with you anymore. So I'm gonna take off. Bye. I'm done masking. I've been masking for 18 years because this is what I really want. And I've never told you because I never really felt safe because you're reactionary, blah, 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 blah. It's real intense. Okay, Brian says, Brian's very chatty. Thank you, Brian. You're making me feel comfortable and like I've got someone to chat to here. Brian says, thank you for your inner Dom course. It has been quite helpful lately. Yay! Meet your inner Dom. For those of you who don't know, I have a free course, free course on my website called Meet Your Inner Dom. Put your little email in there and get access to the course. It's like 2.5 hours of content. It is the process that I went on of meeting my own inner Dom since I started off submissive and terrified of doming. It has so many beautiful tools in there from so many different teachers. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I'm not making any of this up myself. I'm just putting my own weird spin on it because it's fun. Okay, let's see. Bad cat. First time platonic, 75 male submissive to 65 female. Okay. So his first marriage was platonic. He 75-year-old male sub to a 65-year-old female. Me a few years in scene. She long time in sub and top. I felt subby to two women all my life, but never admitted it. Well, congratulations. Bad Cat goes on to say, she says, I'm not really submissive and gave me essay what it means to be submissive. Suggestions? Oh, so what I'm hearing from you, Bad Cat, is that she is saying that you need some support in being submissive to her dominance. That's really interesting. I have a lot to say on this because this was my own experience. Can you tell me what does it feel like when you're submissive? Are you bratty? Or give me a little bit more information about what it means that you and do you agree with her? That's my question too. Do you agree with her that you need support on being submissive? So while you're typing, Bad Cat, I will share my own experience. Which is that a lot of my erotic self lies in my brat. A brat is submissive, but a brat wants to fight. Like they want to be put in their place. So they want to tussle, they want to fight. They want, like as a brat, I'm going to tease you and be like, you're not doing this very well. So what I wanted more than anything was basically a dom to dom me. Like I wanted to feel like a dom and I wanted to be dommed by a dom. And that's still very much where my eroticism lies when it comes to submission, because I'm a big ass powerful lady and I love being a dom. And one of my teachers from the Light Dark Institute, they talked to me about you actually have to want to surrender. And they talked to me about like it's almost like a train going down train tracks. There's that giant lever where like it shifts the course of the railroad, and so the crane, instead of going this way, goes this way. That's what you have to do with submission. Like you actually have to invite in. So even though, which I did not understand that before, I was just like, it should be their job to like rip the control out of my hands and put me in my place. Like I want to feel like I am have a force to surrender to. But that's when I realized like that is shitty. And like the point is like I could be untoppable. I could just decide not to no, no, if there was a gun to my head, I could just decide not to surrender. But because I ultimately want to, I have to invite in. And so sometimes and to allow and to practice as a spiritual practice to become goopy, to become submissive. And so for me, that understanding that submission is a choice and like and also understanding that like un- feeling like you are smaller than something is very, very, very good for me and deeply erotic. And so what I started doing was I started being my brat. So my brat's name is Evie. My brat will be like, fuck you. But then there'll be like a sly smile. Like so this is welcome to I'm gonna do a little Evie. This is my submission, my submissive. Um she'll be like, you think you know you're doing right now. That's cute. You don't know what you're doing at all. I bet I could do this better than you. Mm. Wow. You think you're so big and strong. Wow. But I can do it better. Mm. She's like, she's like a fucking, like, what? How old is she? She's like what is, maybe that's like a 9-year-old or like a 10-year-old. I've always said, there's littles and there's middles. I'm definitely a middle. Um, like a bratty fucking middle schooler is my sub. I love her. She's so fucking fun. But it takes a strong dom to play with her. You know what I mean? But ultimately, she will surrender. She wants to surrender, but she just wants to play chase first. Um, okay, so Bad Cat says, to be honest, I don't agree, I'm not a brat. I don't hopefully, something doubtfully agree. I'm not a brat and but I find humor, laugh what she feels is disrespectful. I also not dealing with my med issues timely, which she is mad about and interfering with my service. Well, let's address the med things first, Bad Cat. Uh, I'm curious if she can you're not taking your meds in a timely manner, which is interfering with her service. But as a dom, can she create more structure for you and accountability for you? And can she, if she is playing a dom and you guys are doing lifestyle or just like long scenes, is there a way that you can make it sexy where you make agreements of finding out what actually works for you, where she supports you taking your meds? And so maybe it's like you have to take your med and then give her a picture and then like, you know, like uh send a picture, whatever it is you guys get off on, send a picture of her or of you, you know, scrubbing a toilet or something, if that's the eroticism between you. But it's about finding the eroticism this is also something that I love. I learned this in a podcast a while ago, but it's called temptation bundling, and this is why kink is so amazing. And it's taking the thing that you don't like to do and combining it with something that you love doing. So for example, if you're going to have a hard um for example, I hate flossing my teeth. I fucking hate it. I love taking baths. So what I do is I keep floss in the bathtub and I floss my teeth when I'm in the bathtub. That's my point. So the idea is for temptation bundling and for kink, is there a way that you can bring the pleasure of accountability of her being in control and you being in submission to your meds? Um, that's my question. And then second is laughing. So she finds your laughing disrespectful. This is really interesting. So that points to a few things for me, which is one, um, I want to know why she finds it disrespectful. And I want to know why you're laughing because there could be a lot of root causes to both of these things. But when I hear that, like, are you laughing at her or are you just like laughing because something is funny? Because when I hear that she becomes what it sounds like maybe is she's becoming a little insecure when you're laughing and insecure of like am I am I worthy of being in control? Um and it makes her doubt herself. Is what I hear when she says like this is disrespectful. And in that case, what is it that she needs? What is it that she needs to reestablish her pleasure and control? Because you laughing my god, I love laughing in kink scenes, like, laughing can be such a burst of energy, or it could be a coping mechanism. I mean, it can be a lot of different things, but sometimes laughing in a kink scene can be such a beautiful, like, blossoming of joy and taking any seriousness um, out of something that might have been starting to feel heavy. But the idea is that the 2 partners are attuned to each other, right? And so, like, the idea of a skilled dom is, like, their sub can bring forth whatever's authentic, and we move with it. It's a dance, right? And so if she's like, "Don't put your foot there," then she's not being attuned to you. But then the question is if you are laughing constantly and it's like a tick and she can tell that it's not authentic, or if she can tell like you're constantly doing this as a way to undermine her because you don't feel comfortable with your submission. The idea is getting to the root of that and letting that root be an opportunity for growth of deeper intimacy between the two of you. But it's not like you laughing during a scene isn't necessarily inherently terrible. Again, I fucking love laughing during scenes. But thank you so much for your question. All right, friends. Let's see. I'm taking any last questions before we end this week's Kinky Office Hours. I'll just take the last a couple of minutes to say thank you so much for those of you who came on board today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. There will be this time next week. There'll be another Kinky Office Hours. Please share it. The idea is, oh, thank you, Brian. Brian says, hour well spent. Um, the idea is we want this thing to grow in order to keep it sustainable. So the more people we can get on it, the better. So if you find this deeply valuable, if you, Henry Pissinger, appreciate your time and all the insight, we'll definitely be back again. Fuck yeah, Henry. Thank you. Appreciate that. But if you can share this with, I know it's hard to share kinky stuff if you don't have a kink community, but if you could share it with your people, that would be great. The more people on here, the more it will make this sustainable for me. Hello, Edward. Pretty woman, kudos. Thank you. It's interesting when somebody compliments you on your beauty because it's like, I guess I had something to do with it. It's more just like my face looks this way, but thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, bye, Bad Cat. Good evening, and thank you. Also, I have a new podcast coming out September 27th. It's basically one-on-one deep dive sessions with people from the internet who applied, and you'll get to see what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. It's super intense, super deep, it's super fun, but it's some pretty deep work and around kink as well. All right, all. I'm going to end it here. Thanks so much for engaging and hanging out, and I will see you next week. Please share it with your friends. Okay, bye.